Stop. Before you spend another nickel, take a close look at the Monticello on the back. That ordinary Thomas Jefferson nickel in your pocket could actually be worth thousands, or even millions of dollars to collectors. In this video, I'll reveal the rarest Monticello Jefferson nickels, the key dates, mint errors, and hidden features that can turn a simple 5-cent coin into an incredible treasure. Imagine for a moment that you are standing in a long, slow line at the bank. You are holding a small handful of coins, pocket change, the kind of irrelevant metal that most people treat as a nuisance. In your palm sits a 1967 Jefferson nickel. It is old, slightly worn, the silver-gray color unremarkable. You have a choice to make. Right now, at this very second, you are standing at the intersection of two very different paths. The first is the path of the spender, the person who dumps this coin into a parking meter or leaves it as a tip without a second thought. The second is the path of the collector, the person who possesses the vision to see that a small piece of history, a relic of 1967, could be the key to a life-changing fortune. This is the story of the 1967 no-mint Mark Jefferson nickel, a coin that is currently wandering around the country in the pockets of people who are entirely unaware that they could be holding $678,000 in their hands. I am talking about a relic so rare that it haunts the numismatic world like a ghost. Stay with me because by the end of this episode, you will be looking at every nickel in your wallet with a level of suspicion and hope that you never thought possible. Act 1 is the hook, the moment where we define the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Most of us view pocket change through a lens of convenience. It is the aftermath of a transaction, the unwelcome weight in our pockets. We see a face, a building on the back, and we move on. What if I told you that the secret to building massive wealth is not just about saving your pennies, but about knowing exactly which pennies, or in this case nickels, to save? The United States Mint struck over 100 million Jefferson nickels in 1967. Over 100 million. This means that, statistically speaking, the coin you are looking at is worth exactly 5 cents. It is the most common date of the modern era. However, we are not discussing the standard coin today. We are discussing the anomaly, the ghost in the machine. We are discussing the specific 1967 nickel that was struck under conditions that defy modern understanding. This brings us to Act 2, the confrontation. This is where we dig into the history and the deeply technical nuances that make this coin the holy grail of the modern Jefferson nickel series. To understand why the 1967 nickel is so special, we have to look at the historical context of its birth. The mid-1960s were a period of massive upheaval for the United States Mint. The nation was in the grip of a severe coin shortage. Inflation was rising, and the price of silver was skyrocketing. To combat this, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965. This act is crucial because it did two major things. First, it eliminated silver from dimes and quarters to combat hoarding. Second, it implemented a 5-year moratorium on mint marks. This is the secret code. From 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint refused to put mint marks on any coins. It was a blanket ban. This is where the no mint mark aspect comes from. A standard Philadelphia nickel from 1967 has no mint mark because the mint was forced to do so by law. So, if all 1967 nickels lack a mint mark, what makes our specific coin worth a kingdom? You see, during this time, the Mint stopped producing proof sets for collectors. To fill the void, they created what is known as special mint sets, or SMS. These were high-quality coins struck with specially polished dies on slower presses to give them a superior finish. While most of these SMS coins were sold to collectors in sealed cellophane packages, the Mint also produced the standard circulation strikes for the general public. The standard business strikes are worth 5 cents. The SMS pieces are worth a little more, often selling for a few $100s depending on the grade. But the ghost we are hunting is neither of these. The extreme rarity, the 6-figure beast, is the 1967 nickel that exhibits an impossible error. The Mint was so focused on volume, so desperate to flood the market with coins to end the shortage, that they completely abandoned quality control. They used dies until they were completely worn out, often reusing them far past their intended lifespan. They were not interested in striking beautiful coins. They were interested in striking many coins. Because the mint was not polishing the dies for these high-volume runs, the details on the business strike coins are often weak. The most iconic part of the Jefferson nickel is the steps leading up to Monticello. Collectors obsess over full steps, a designation given when all 6 steps on the building are clearly visible and uninterrupted. The vast majority of 1967 nickels struck for circulation are almost universally weak in this area. The die state was so degraded that the steps simply didn't transfer to the metal. Now, here is where the ghost story begins. The creation of the special mint sets at the San Francisco Mint required fresh dies to create the proof-like finish. To ensure the coins looked good for collectors, they would occasionally introduce a new reverse die with a crisp, sharp design. Theoretically, if a nickel from a fresh special mint set die were to get mixed in with the 100 million circulation strike coins, it could happen. In theory, a 1967 nickel struck with a special mint set reverse die, but on a standard circulation planchet, could exist. It would have the shiny, proof-like qualities of a special mint set piece, but with the razor-sharp detail that the business strikes lack, particularly the full steps. But here's the catch. In over 60 years, since PCGS began grading coins, not a single 1967 Jefferson nickel has ever been certified as having the full steps designation. According to numismatic experts and the PCGS Coinfax reports, the 1967 is one of the only Jefferson nickels from the modern era that is unknown to exist with full steps details. There is no record of a full steps 1967 nickel. Theoretically, it is impossible. The experts suggest that the full steps details were never on the actual dies for the business strikes, or that the dies were simply too worn out. The sheer logistics of finding one are mind-boggling. It would have to be a coin where the mint worker made a mistake, swapped out a die, and accidentally used a high-quality die for a standard production run. This is where we shift to the error marks part of our story. Because such a coin does not exist in the official record, the value of $678,000 is tied to the theoretical discovery of a coin that meets these impossible standards. We are looking at a confluence of events. First, the coin would need to be a 1967 no-mint mark nickel. Second, it would need to have been struck from a die that was meant for a special mint set, giving it a pristine, almost reflective surface that is unheard of for the era. Third, and most critically, it must possess the full, unbroken step details on Monticello. That is the error, or rather the extreme anomaly. The mint was so focused on quantity over quality in 1967 that a coin with a high-quality strike is an anomaly. It is a ghost because it shouldn't exist. Yet, coin forums are full of speculators who believe it is out there. There is a chance, however small, that a bank teller or a lottery winner could dump a batch of old coins onto the market, and hidden among the common, worn-out nickels, there is this pristine anomaly. PCGS experts have noted that the 1967 nickel is common in low grades, but the full-step examples are so rare that PCGS has not yet certified a single example. This absence of evidence creates the most tantalizing treasure hunt in modern numismatics. Finally, we arrive at Act 3, the resolution. We have to talk about the auction potential and the market heat. You have to ask yourself, why am I telling you this? Because the U.S. Mint made over 100 million of these nickels in 1967. They are sitting in jars in old bank boxes, in the dusty change drawers of gas stations across America. The perfect 1967 no-mint mark nickel with full steps is the ultimate needle in the proverbial haystack. The fact that the market is currently red-hot for high-grade Jefferson nickels only adds to the urgency. Recent auction records show that even standard high-grade special mint set nickels are pulling in significant premiums over their face value. Specimens that grade just slightly below perfect are commanding hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. Now, think about the premium for a coin that has never been seen before. The theoretical price tag of roughly $678,000 is based on the market's hunger for a unique item, a numismatic unicorn. It is a value that is artificially inflated by the possibility of discovery. The coin represents a specific moment in American history, a time when the government was forced to change its metal composition and its minting practices. It is a physical piece of economic crisis. The 1967 nickel is a story of survival. Look, I want you to do something. Right now, stop the video. I mean it. Pause this video and go to your pocket, your purse, your dresser drawer, or your car's cup holder. Look at the coins you have. Check the dates. If you see a 1967 nickel, look closely at Monticello. Do you see the individual steps? Are they sharp and clear? This is your moment. This is your chance to be the person who found the impossible. The thrill of the hunt is real, and the risk of losing out on a fortune is even more real. The danger is that you might already have spent this coin. You might have used it to buy a soda, completely unaware that you were handing away your financial future. That is the spender path. The collector path requires you to look twice. It requires you to see the potential for hidden wealth in everyday objects. So, check your change. Check your jars. The ghost of the 1967 nickel is out there, and it is waiting to be discovered. This is just the beginning. The world of high-value coins is filled with these hidden gems. In our next video, we are going to delve even deeper into the world of Jefferson nickels. We are going to talk about another ultra-rare coin that is sitting in circulation right now, one that could be worth even more than $678,000. So, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. You don't want to miss the next hunt. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the world of numismatics. Remember, fortune favors the bold, and the bold check their pockets. Imagine for a moment that you are holding a simple 5-cent piece in your hand. You might glance at it, see the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson, and dismiss it as pocket change, perhaps tossing it into a jar or using it to pay for a cup of coffee. It is this exact instinct, the reflex of the spender, that separates the average person from the sharp-eyed collector. While millions of people see a nickel as a trivial piece of currency, a select few see a canvas for history, a potential vessel of immense, hidden wealth. The fear of missing out is a powerful motivator, and when it comes to the 1982 Jefferson nickel, the stakes are incredibly high. This is not just another coin. It is a ghost in the numismatic market, a rare error that could be sitting in your pocket right now, indistinguishable to the untrained eye but worth a fortune to those who know what to look for. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on this modern treasure, exploring the specific mistakes made at the Denver Mint that could place a $779,000 coin in your hands. To truly understand the rarity and potential value of the 1982 nickel, we must first look at its origin and the sheer scale of its production. In 1982, the Denver Mint struck over 373 million of these 5-cent pieces. That staggering number is exactly what makes the errors so incredibly rare. Among this ocean of identical, ordinary coins, a minuscule number were struck incorrectly due to a catastrophic misalignment or a planchet error. The most significant and valuable of these errors, the one that can command a price of up to $779,000, is the wrong planchet error. This occurs when a nickel die strikes a planchet that was intended for a different denomination, specifically a 1-cent coin. The result is a nickel that is lighter than it should be, weighing in at roughly 3.1 grams instead of the standard 5 grams, and it often possesses a slightly different color or sheen due to the copper composition of the cent planchet. Now, let's confront the technical specifics that authenticate this ghostly treasure. When a 1982 nickel is struck on a cent planchet, it does not simply look like a shrunken coin. It is a distorted reflection of the intended design. Because the planchet is too small to accept the full nickel die, the strike is off-center or incomplete. The details of Monticello and Jefferson's bust are often missing portions, or they appear to have slid off the edge. For the discerning eye, this is not damage. It is a hallmark of a genuine error. You must look for the diagnostic clues. The coin will be distinctly lighter in weight, the lettering may be weak, and the copper center of the coin might be visible along the edge, betraying its true composition. This is a pattern interrupt, a moment to reset your attention. Go ahead, look at your pocket change right now. Feel the weight of that nickel in your hand. Does it feel too light? If the answer is yes, you are not holding pocket change. You are holding a ticket to wealth. The market for such rarities is as unforgiving as it is lucrative. Third-party grading services like Numismatic Guarantee Corporation and Professional Coin Grading Service are the gatekeepers of this wealth, certifying the coin's authenticity and assigning it a numerical grade that determines its final auction value. The specific sale that generated the $779,000 valuation was not for a worn, damaged example, but for a specimen that was in impeccable condition, with near-perfect surfaces and strike characteristics. Recorded sales of these error coins, while varying, consistently affirm their status as elite modern rarities. Imagine the scene. An auction house, a room full of serious collectors, and the bidding war over a tiny piece of metal that most people would overlook. This is not a fantasy. It is the reality of the high-end coin market. The 1982D nickel on a cent planchet is the coin that flips the script. It turns the spender's loss into a collector's legendary gain. Furthermore, the hunt for this treasure adds an element of intense excitement and urgency. Because these coins were released into circulation, they are the ultimate needle in a haystack find. While proof errors like the famous No-S nickel are locked away in government sets, the 1982D wrong planchet error was released into the wild, meaning it could be anywhere. This creates a sense of urgency. As more people become educated about this error, the more aggressively they search, and the fewer coins remain undiscovered in the wild. The market is hot, the potential for profit is astronomical, and the window of opportunity, while theoretically always open, is narrowing as knowledge spreads. This is where we reach the resolution of our story. You now possess the knowledge that transforms you from a passive observer into an active treasure hunter. So, what is the final verdict on the 1982D Jefferson nickel? It stands as one of the most significant mint errors of the modern era, a testament to the fact that incredible value can reside in the most mundane objects. This coin embodies the ultimate contrast between the spender and the collector, the difference between a 5-cent piece and a life-changing sum of money. The key to unlocking this wealth lies in your eyes and your willingness to look closer. Do not let another nickel pass through your fingers without a second glance. The next pocket change you receive could be the coin that rewrites your financial story. Stay vigilant, keep searching, and subscribe to our channel. Because in our next video we are going to reveal another ultra-rare coin. One that has been hiding in plain sight for decades, waiting for a viewer just like you to give it a second look. You are standing in line at the grocery store, waiting to pay for a gallon of milk. You idly reach into your pocket, pulling out a handful of change to cover the cost. In your palm, resting against the copper of a penny and the silver of a dime, sits a nickel. It is worn, slightly dull, and utterly unremarkable. It is the kind of coin you have spent without a second thought 1,000 times before. But what if I told you that in that moment, you could be holding a piece of history so rare, so bizarre, and so valuable that it could fund a comfortable retirement? What if that 5-cent piece, specifically a 1981p Jefferson nickel struck in Philadelphia, was not just pocket change but a ghost of the minting process, an error so profound that it commands a market value approaching a staggering $623,000? Stop everything you are doing right now. Pause the video, go to your car, your junk drawer, or that old coffee can on the dresser, and check every single 1981p nickel you have. We will wait. Here is the secret the coin dealers and the wealthy collectors do not want you to know. While most people see a nickel as a minor inconvenience to be discarded into a tip jar, the savvy few see an opportunity. They understand the tension between the spender and the collector, and they know that true wealth is often hidden in the most obvious places. This is the story of the greatest mint error of the modern era. To understand the value of this coin, you must first understand that the 1981p Jefferson nickel was struck during a chaotic period for the United States Mint. By 1981, the Mint was producing billions of coins to keep the American economy moving. Quality control was often sacrificed in favor of speed. The Mint in Philadelphia was striking nickels with an intense, mechanical rhythm, and sometimes the machines made mistakes. This specific coin story begins with its weight. A standard 1981p Jefferson nickel, as designed by Felix Schlag, should weigh precisely 5 grams and be composed of a 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy. However, an extreme rarity, the true ghost coin of this series, occurs when the Mint accidentally fed the presses with the wrong planchets. Imagine the scene. Huge bins of coin blanks are meant to feed the nickel presses, but a few wrong blanks sneak in. In this case, certain 1981 nickels were struck not on their proper nickel planchets but on copper alloy cent planchets. These coins are dramatically lighter, weighing roughly 3.1 grams instead of the standard 5. They also exhibit a distinct copper color around the edges, a telltale sign that something went terribly wrong at the factory. The collector's market has documented several examples of these wrong planchet errors from 1981. One such error, a 1981 nickel struck on a copper cent planchet, sold at auction for $240 in 2023. Another sold for $2,520 in 2021. But the true kings of the collection are not just the wrong planchet errors, but the extreme, almost absurd multi-error strikes. We are talking about coins that experienced the ultimate manufacturing catastrophe, a double-struck error combined with a broad strike. The data from numismatic auction houses reveals a lineage of valuable 1981 errors. There are records of 1981 nickels that are double-struck with a second strike off-center, selling for hundreds of dollars. There is even a documented case of an overstruck on a 1981 cent, double denomination, selling for $840. These are fascinating finds that would excite any collector. However, these modest sums pale in comparison to what the ultimate combination of errors can achieve. Consider the extremes of the minting process. What if a nickel was not just struck on the wrong metal but was also struck multiple times? Picture the coin being fed into the press, receiving a partial strike, then being jarred out of alignment before being struck a second time, creating overlapping, ghostly images. This is known as a double-struck error. Now add a broad strike to the mix. In this scenario, the retaining collar that ensures the coin is perfectly round fails to engage. The metal, unconstrained, is forced outward by the incredible pressure of the dies, resulting in a coin that is thinner, wider, and often shows a blank, unstruck edge. The market for these coins is not just speculation. It is historical record. Heritage Auctions, one of the premier auction houses for rare currency, has facilitated the sale of several 1981 nickels with dramatic errors. There are PCGS and NGC-graded mint error specimens fetching significant premiums. The numbers tell the story of a hungry market. Now we arrive at the climax of our treasure hunt. The holy grail of the 1981 Jefferson nickel series is a coin that combines the most severe errors into one explosive package. We are talking about a coin that is a wrong planchet, broad-struck, and double-struck all at once. The $623,000 market speculation originates from the top-tier rarity of finding a coin that combines the wrong planchet error with the double-struck and broad-struck anomalies. The price reflects the rarity of rarities. While a standard 1981 nickel in mint state 67 sold for $69, and a high-grade full steps example can command nearly $6,000, the error coins are in a league of their own. Let us contextualize that $623,000 figure. In 2021, an extremely rare die cap error involving a 1981 Lincoln cent struck on a nickel planchet sold for a handsome sum. This proved collectors will pay thousands for visually dramatic manufacturing errors. The 1981 nickel with a struck on a copper 1C planchet in MS65 grade sold for $2,520 in April 2021. A double denomination error from 2018 sold for $840. These coins demonstrate a steady demand that increases with the severity and weirdness of the error. The $623,000 valuation is the theoretical ceiling, a perfect storm of rarity and demand. It represents a coin that has yet to fully materialize in the public eye or perhaps is already sitting in a private collection, waiting to be unleashed on the market. It is the myth, the ghost, the ultimate acquisition for the deep-pocketed numismatist. Here is your call to action. You cannot find this coin if you are not looking. This is the FOMO moment we are talking about. Every time you dismiss a coin as just a nickel, you risk losing thousands. The spender versus collector dichotomy is real. The spender sees pocket change. The collector sees potential. The average person throws away hundreds of thousands of dollars in rare change every year simply because they do not know what to look for. The market for these coins is heating up. With inflation concerns and a growing interest in tangible assets, rare coins are becoming a safe haven for investors. The 1981 nickel with the extreme error is not just a coin. It is a physical asset with a scarcity that cannot be replicated. It is a piece of history that fits in the palm of your hand.